We often hear, psychologists and people say people don't change, or perhaps see generations of family dynamics repeating themselves, and some say little has changed. Is it really that hard?
Yes, fortunately, change is quite rather difficult. In fact, what I've learned over the last 25 odd years of helping organisations to lead change and actually build cultures that embrace change is that there are five key truths about change that fundamentally we seem to have forgotten along the way. We think change is is temporary. We wait or we long for the fact that change could actually be a project or a one-off, and it's not. So the first key truth that I've learned about change that I think all of your viewers would get is that firstly is that change is inevitable, and and that sounds like a blinding glimpse of the obvious, but it really isn't, because we all tend to wait for the new normal, and that's just going to be transitory, or we tend to wait for things to go back to the way we were, and that never happens. I think it was Benjamin Disraeli who said 150 years ago that change is constant, and that change is continually with us as well. And that seems obvious, but it's not. We need to treat it not as a one-off, not as a project, but actually that it's inevitable and it's a part of life. And the second thing is that all change is personal, so that every leader that I've worked with over the years has started to understand that even the largest of organizational changes is actually the culmination of a myriad of small personal individual changes. And each one of us is number three, each one of us erects our own personal barriers to change. So what we need to do is to understand what those automatic barriers are. I mean, it could be fear, it could be anger, it could be all sorts of negative thoughts come into our heads when big change is done to us. And those things can be overcome, which is, of course, what I talk about in the latest book, which is The Power to Change, which is all about embracing personal change. But the fourth key truth about change is possibly the most important, and that is all change is emotional. In fact, you'll probably know this whenever change has been done to you. In fact, through COVID, we've all found that we undergo an emotional roller coaster, or a roller coaster of emotions when change is done to us. And those emotions can be really profound. What we have to understand is that they're okay, and that as leaders we can help our people to understand their emotions and realize that they appreciate that they're just part of life. But the fifth key point really is that we don't change because we're told to. We only change if we want to. So therefore, as a leader, and you will know this as well, if someone tells you to change, then you're only one-fifth of the way there. Actually, emotions are four times more powerful than logic when it comes to change. So therefore, as a leader, in order to get your people, to help your people to embrace change, you need to appeal to their emotions. You need to find their emotional triggers to change. And really, the summary of that is that a leader's role is to help their people to want to change. And as individuals, we can be our own change leader. So in all of the workshops and webinars that are run for Henley Business School in the UK and organisations worldwide, it's to help leaders understand that their job is to help their people to actually want to change. It's not just to tell them to change, because change is really, really difficult. In
It's
fact, I
great.
think
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Oh,
I do want to
sorry.
just ask you. That's okay, Campbell. I do want to ask you about change that's thrown onto people, because it's been interesting. Like the last year, we've seen a moment in time and moments in time which we haven't never seen before in our lifetimes, and it has given people a lot of strength. This idea of embracing change, because they realise, well, the sun is actually going to come up tomorrow. I might not have that little bit of money over there, but I can move across here and I can do this and I can do that. It's been a very interesting study in human behaviour.
I think it has, Tim, and one of the things that we've all learnt in COVID is that we can actually cope with change in fact, far more easily than we thought we could, but only when we've got a really good, strong emotional reason for doing so. So we all went into lockdown back in March and April because we were doing the right thing. We were protecting our parents, we were protecting our loved ones, and we were doing the right thing by whatever the nation is that we happen to live in at the time. And that's surprised a lot of people how we could embrace really dramatic change, but as long as we had a really strong reason for doing so.
We've only got 30 seconds, but you've got in one of your chapters, Millennials, are they really snowflakes or are they saviours? So what can you tell us about that chapter?
Well, there's a whole chapter on resilience, and in part of that, which has really captured people's imagination, I talk about the millennials and how I think that they're brilliant at actually coping with change, because they've come into the world of work knowing that employee and employer engagement are myths. They want work-life balance from the off, but they also want companies to have a genuine purpose. A CEO called me up the other day and said, "Cam, we need a purpose." And the reason why he needed a purpose is that his 35 and under employees were demanding that they needed to do more than simply just make money and provide dividends to shareholders. They needed a purpose that was focused on delivering something different, something special to their customers. And that's what I love in the world of business about the millennials are making leaders work out what is it we're actually in business for? And that's really good change.
Yeah, Campbell, it's been lovely to have a chat. We'll have to have a chat real soon because this is an area of discussion which we could talk for an hour on.
As you can tell, so can I.
Fantastic, and congratulations on your book, Power to Change. Thanks so much. We'll speak to you soon.